One day, every suspicion whispered in the shadows of darkness would be revealed. Chosen one, the worries that have been brewing in you until today were never in vain. There was a real reason for every cold stare, every sudden change of environment, every incomprehensible distance. Today, it is coming to light which realities those who told you you are dreaming were actually afraid to face. Those who tried to ignore, frighten, and intimidate you were actually fighting their own darkness. The alertness of your soul, the powerful intuition God gave you, was a gift you had to protect. Now the truth is out in the open. Not only did you intuit, you were actually at the center of everything. Write 444 in the comments now, because you are the one specially equipped by God to see the unseen, to reveal the truth behind the scenes. No matter what anyone says, there is a divine truth behind your intuition, an invincible light in your soul. Just as the morning sun breaks through a fog that's lingered for months, every hidden plot is about to stand exposed under a clarity no cloud can block. There's a sacred power in that first golden light. Ask any farmer, any sailor, any soul who's ever watched darkness give way to dawn. That's the moment you're standing in right now, beloved. Every scheme drawn up in secret, every conversation laced with envy, every silent plan meant to trip you up while you rested is being carried out of the shadows and into the open. This isn't just another chapter. It's the hour when all the unspoken jealousies and carefully rigged pitfalls come tumbling out for everyone to see. You've seen the weather change before. A storm that howled all night but surrendered to a sunrise so bright it turned puddles into diamonds. That's your life at this crossroads. The alliances you once leaned on might have shifted. The trusted hands might have been hiding crossed fingers, but none of that can stand in the presence of truth revealed. In the spirit, it's like a farmer harvesting wheat at the end of a long season. What's real is gathered up. What's false is blown away. Every whispered conspiracy, every trap that seemed so clever in the dark, is about to meet the sharp edge of daylight. Now let's talk about that divine justice. The same hands that set the snare will be the ones pointing back to their own trail, because the light always exposes footprints, no matter how carefully they were hidden. It's the law of the harvest, the principle that whatever's planted in darkness will eventually grow tall enough to reach the sun. When this curtain lifts, it won't just be an unveiling. It'll be a cosmic accounting, a spiritual audit, a moment where motives and intentions are as clear as a field at high noon. This, beloved, is your season of vindication. Like a rose blooming in a wasteland, your story is about to burst forth in color where others thought nothing could survive. The hush is over, the plotting is finished, and the only sound left is the sound of chains falling and new doors swinging wide. They thought they could bury you with secrets, but instead, they planted you for resurrection. The revelation is not meant to break you. It's meant to bring you out into a day so bright that even your old wounds become windows for God's glory to shine through. Keep your heart steady, because the tables are turning with heavenly precision. What was once a hush is about to become a hallelujah. The ones who laid the trap are about to find their own path leads straight back to the one they tried to ensnare. Just like a lighthouse stands unshaken through every storm, your integrity will be the beacon that guides you and reveals the truth for all to see. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but the souls of many through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's grand design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Act now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom, for you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Picture a giant oak standing on a windswept hill, roots deep and branches spread wide. Storms may rage and thunder may shout, but the tree holds its ground, unmoved by the chaos around it. That's what your spirit has become in this season, a landmark that exposes every hidden thing when the wind howls loud enough. While others lost themselves in a scramble of shifting masks, you stayed put, quietly letting the weather reveal every counterfeit. Where whispers once wound their way through the corridors, soft as serpents sliding through grass, now the air is still, and the serpents have lost their venom. You see, those who spent their evenings stirring cauldrons of rumor and spite never counted on the sun rising this bright. They built their little circles in the corners, chipping away at your name like termites in the rafters. But here's the glory. When morning breaks, every accusation, every sly edit, every gossip's tale will be hauled out for inspection. The secrets they thought would stay tucked away in the shadows are about to be announced from the rooftops, bold as a church bell at sunrise. What once felt like 100 small betrayals is suddenly seen for what it is, shadows scattering before the truth. The very words meant to bury you are being recycled as evidence that can't be ignored. The silence that's fallen over your critics isn't just awkward, it's the hush that comes when heaven starts keeping score. Their schemes, once so elaborate, look threadbare in the clear light of day, just as the storm teaches the mountain what it's made of. Your trials have revealed your unbreakable foundation. You have stood, no matter who tried to chip away at you, because your roots are anchored in something eternal. Now, as the last gusts die down, the only story left standing is the one God wrote for you, the one that can't be erased or distorted by anyone's opinion. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Beloved, let this be your confidence. No matter how many tried to cut you down in secret, the truth has a way of finding its way into the open. Your integrity is shining like a lighthouse, guiding even your detractors toward honesty, whether they admit it or not. And just like that mountain after the storm, you're still standing, stronger, cleaner, and more unmistakable than ever. Just picture a field under a pale morning sky. There's a stillness, but beneath the surface, seeds are already breaking open, stretching toward the sun. That's how real discernment works in the life of the chosen. It's not loud, it's not showy, but it moves with heaven's timing. Sometimes you felt it, a tingling in your bones, a chill passing through when you crossed a certain threshold, a silent heaviness that made you pause and look twice. The world calls it anxiety, but those who walk with the Lord know it's a whisper from the Spirit, a gentle alert that something unseen is moving. While you were out there planting goodness, quietly investing hope into the soil of everyday life, others were digging holes behind the hedges, thinking you'd never see the traps. Every joyful moment, every time your name was lifted in gratitude, every celebration that poured from your heart, somebody out of sight tried to twist it, make it look like pride, make it seem like you were showing off or stepping over someone else. But let me tell you something, beloved. Nothing planted in darkness can stand against the sunlight of God's justice. The Lord doesn't overlook slander or let false words stick like burrs to your reputation. He sees every hidden message, every sly remark tucked into the shadows, every attempt to spin your triumphs into something sinister. Screenshots may fade, and whispers may get buried, but there comes a day when every single word is brought into the open, when the very air in the room shifts because truth has walked in. What they tried to erase, heaven will project on the biggest screen. That's why your journey is different. You haven't just survived. Every attack became compost for your next harvest. God's wisdom covered you, pulling you aside at the right moment, giving you just enough insight to sidestep a pit or hold your peace when the world expected you to shout. Those random chills, they were the Holy Spirit steering you. That heaviness, it was the Lord anchoring your feet before you took a wrong step. So don't ever second-guess the intuition that's been your faithful companion. The same power that nudged you away from betrayal is now clearing the air for vindication. Every lie will unravel, every plot will come to nothing, and what was meant for your downfall will only lift you higher. When the dust settles and the truth comes to light, you'll see the proof that heaven's justice isn't delayed. It's always perfectly timed. And your testimony will shine brighter than the morning sun over that faithful field, because you stood your ground and trusted the wisdom God planted in your spirit from the very start. Just picture a moth fluttering against a lamp, desperate to outshine the light it cannot understand. That's what happens when insecure hearts weave their own illusions. Flitting from rumor to rumor, they try to cover their shadows with sheets stitched from stories that never fit. It's not that you stole anything from their plate, it's that your table was set by the Almighty, and they can't stomach a feast they didn't earn. Every tale they spin, every motive they assign to you is really a patch on the hole in their own soul. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the temporal concerns of the world. As the Bible says, whatever is done in faith will return to God in abundant blessing. Luke 6:38. Like that great oak tree, our roots are deeply rooted in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stand we take, is secured by His strength. And now, you are being offered the opportunity to be part of that blessing. When you use the super thank you button and donate $100, this movement will return to you 100-fold in abundance. Beloved, false fabric can only hold so long before it frays in the washing of truth. Sooner or later, the seams burst, and every hidden thread is dragged into the daylight. You weren't blessed because you connived or conspired. You were blessed because you stayed faithful when the lights were out and the doors were closed. All the lies they stacked like sandbags to keep your light from flooding the room are sinking fast, because God Himself is about to part the curtains and let everyone see what's genuine and what's just cleverly sewn together. And let me remind you, no matter how thick they layer the disguises, nothing can hold up against the power of authenticity. When the real is revealed, what's false will simply fall away, leaving only the substance that was anchored in purpose. That's how it is when you walk in your calling. You're not made of cheap material. You're woven from the promise and perseverance of heaven. So don't get weary when the rumors swirl or the stories stretch. Every storm just beats the dust off your garment, and all that remains is the divine tapestry of who you truly are. Imagine a dusty chessboard in the attic of a forgotten palace, every piece frozen mid-game, each pawn and bishop standing as if waiting for a signal. For years, unseen hands have nudged these pieces across the board in silence, plotting and planning their way around the real prize. But beloved, the game is coming into the light. The cover is being lifted, and all those secret strategies and whispered collaborations are being revealed for what they are: empty maneuvers designed to block a king who never fit their rules in the first place. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. What they never understood is that you didn't ask for the crown. You were born with it, woven into the very fabric of your being. Long before you ever saw your own reflection, heaven had already placed the oil of destiny on your head. Those who sensed your calling before you could name it panicked at the weight of your presence. Like shadows scurrying at sunrise, they scrambled to box you in, set you up, fence you out, fearing you'd one day recognize the authority inside you. But the board is turning. Every secret meeting, every little rumor, every stage setback is about to be swept clean by the wind of divine justice. Just like a storm rolling over a chessboard, God is toppling strategies built on fear and insecurity. The false kings will find their thrones wobbling, and those who scheme to limit you will realize they were never in control. Your crown isn't on loan, it's a birthright, and as you rise, the pieces realign, not by manipulation, but by the truth finally taking its rightful seat at the center of the table. This isn't just about the moves they made in the dark, it's about the light you bring that makes their darkness flee. When you step up, you don't just finish the game, you rewrite the rules, so others coming behind you never have to live boxed in by fear again. That's the kingdom assignment. That's why your crown couldn't be hidden, not even by the thickest veil or the most cunning plan. Picture a gardener who refuses to plant their own seeds, but waits in the shadows to snip your blossoms as soon as they bloom. That's how these subtle saboteurs move, not bold enough for open confrontation, but always lurking, always plotting behind the hedge. You felt it every time a harmless joke landed, with a sharp edge. Every time eyes lingered too long in a hallway. Every time the lights dimmed in a meeting room just after you left. Their whispers slithered through office corners and online groups, twisting the story behind your back, turning your strengths into rumors and your victories into points of contention. It wasn't enough for them to simply disagree or step aside. No, beloved, they tracked every sunrise in your world, hoping to catch a single cloud so they could call it a storm. Each post you made, each update you shared, was met with their silent tallying, their hidden archives waiting for the day you might slip. And when life's natural stumbles came, as they do for all, they brought out their trumpets, determined to parade your momentary loss as a sign of permanent weakness. But here's the truth: the Spirit wants you to hold. A single storm doesn't uproot a tree whose roots are planted in holy ground. While others fixated on your falter, heaven took note of your rising. Every time you dusted yourself off, you built a testimony that they couldn't erase with 1,000 whispers. In the end, what they meant for your humiliation became the platform for your elevation. For in this garden, it's not the weeds that get remembered. It's the survivor who keeps blooming, season after season, even with footprints in the soil. That's how the chosen are proven, not by how well they're liked in the shadows, but by how brightly they shine when every scheme is spent and every watcher is left staring, stunned at the unstoppable growth that can't be cut down. Think of it like an old country house battered by endless storms, the kind where thunder shakes the windows and rain pours down in sheets, but the roof holds steady letting the water slide right off, never letting the leaks in. That's your spirit, chosen one. All their crooked mirrors and carnival games were set up to make you question your own shape, your own reflection. Speak your mind, and they'd say you're overbearing. Bite your tongue, and they'd whisper that you're hiding something. Let joy show, and they'd sneer about insincerity. Grieve openly, and suddenly you were labeled distant or uncaring. It was all a trap, an endless hall of mirrors meant to confuse, distract, and shake your confidence. But you know what? That storm is spent. That carnival is packing up, and the tickets are worthless now. When the world throws labels at you like a downpour, you just let them wash away. Because the true foundation, the divine identity God placed in you before you ever drew your first breath, remains untouched, shining steady, no matter how wild the weather. You've learned to trust the quiet voice inside, the one that says, "You are who heaven says you are." Not what the critics claim, not what the insecure whisper behind closed doors. And now, every accusation, every bitter rumor, every sly glance, none of it can stick. You're standing firm on the rock of truth, unshaken and undefeated. Now the tables have turned. The carnival's over. The house stands strong. And every scheme that was meant to break you has only revealed just how weatherproof you really are. Watch as their words fall flat, as every old wound heals, and as your story shines like a beacon to anyone else trying to find their way through a storm. Because that's what you are, a lighthouse, a shelter, a living testimony that no storm lasts forever, and the truth always finds its way home. Picture a vineyard after a thunderstorm, beloved, each vine freshly washed, every leaf shimmering with possibility. The thorns that once wrapped themselves around your promise have been cast aside, roots and all, exposing the fertile ground God prepared for your next harvest. This is bigger than coming through a battle with your name still intact. This is a season where new life springs up from every place they tried to bury you. You aren't just a survivor, dusting off yesterday's debris. No, you're the master gardener now, called to plant hope in places where confusion once reigned. Doors that were slammed shut in your face are swinging wide open because you carry the keys of restoration. Policies and systems, once rigid and unyielding, begin to soften and bend toward justice and kindness simply because you stepped onto the scene. In the boardroom, your integrity becomes the blueprint others long to follow, like sunlight guiding weary travelers back to the path. Around the family table, old wounds are soothed and divisions are healed, because the words you speak are seasoned with grace and backed by the strength of someone who's been through the flood and didn't drown. And in the house of faith, vision finds its shepherd again. Congregations rediscover their purpose, not through loud declarations, but because your quiet example is a compass that points true north. You see, the testimony you carry isn't just a record of what you survived. It's the seed of new beginnings in every place you set your foot. The world has 1,000 counterfeits for peace, but what you hold is the genuine article, cultivated in storms, rooted in truth, and watered by the living streams of divine favor. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you exponentially far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessing is on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as his mighty rock. Witness God's miracles. Feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide your path. So walk tall in this field the Lord has cleared for you. What tried to overshadow your bloom only prepared the soil for a brighter and more abundant harvest. Every place your story touches, offices, families, communities, will flourish, not because the storm didn't come, but because you learned to dance in the rain and rise again with the sunrise. You're living proof that the garden grows stronger after the tempest, and everywhere you go, hope springs up in your wake. Imagine a garden that has survived every drought and flood. Where other plants wilted, this one's roots only dug deeper, drawing strength from hidden streams beneath the soil. That's you, beloved. God did not let you endure the fiercest winds and coldest nights just to watch you trade insult for insult. No, He preserved you so you could become the wellspring in a parched land, the voice that brings living water to places left scorched by bitterness and betrayal. When the curtain falls on every performance, when every mask drops and every rumor finally dries up, it's your hands that will hold the microphone of truth. You will speak with a power born from storms survived and grace never withdrawn. This chapter of your life isn't scribbled in pencil, waiting to be erased by another critic or faded by someone else's disappointment. The record of your purpose is etched in stone, painted with the colors of mercy, compassion, and spiritual authority that cannot be washed away by gossip or the opinions of those who never had your endurance. Where some only see scars, heaven sees roots, and those roots are about to bear fruit, healing, direction, and restoration for those who thought they were forgotten. If you feel God's presence, you can tap the join button below to become part of the first chosen ones and receive the most important revelations early. Let me tell you, the words you're about to speak will do more than silence the mockers. They'll rewrite the very rules in the places you walk. In offices, policies will shift because you radiate a different kind of integrity, the kind that stands tall, even when the wind tries to bend you. At home, old rifts will close because your forgiveness will break cycles of pain and open doors for new beginnings. In communities of faith, visions that lost their way will find direction again, guided by your testimony, shaped and authenticated in the crucible of adversity. You're not merely the survivor of an attack on your character. You're the restorer, the rebuilder, the voice that God raised up to speak when all the noise has faded. Where others drew lines to exclude you, you'll draw a circle that gathers the wounded, the lost, the uncertain, bringing them into the shelter of hope. You're not here to clap back, you're here to lift up. You're not just here to settle old scores, you're here to set a new standard, one that can't be erased, no matter who tries to revise the narrative. Your calling runs deeper than any slander and shines brighter than any spotlight the world could ever put on you. The next pages of your journey are already written in the book of life, stamped with the ink of divine promise. And the best part? No rumor, no accusation, no smear campaign can ever change the ending that God has spoken over you. The story continues, and you're stepping into it with a power that's been proven by every trial, every tear, and every time you chose faith over fear. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. When the hall of mirrors falls apart and their last mask hits the ground, what stands is not the echo of their accusations, but the original design, the beauty God placed in you before the foundation of the world. That reflection doesn't fade under harsh lights. It can't be erased or replaced. While others scramble to revise their story, you're standing tall on the script heaven wrote just for you, unapologetic, unedited, unshakable. And so, beloved, step forward. Let the past's shadows shrink behind you. Integrity flows from you like a lighthouse beam, reshaping policies, reconciling families, and giving leaders new direction. Your presence alone recalibrates the very atmosphere, and your testimony, tested by fire, now opens doors where only walls once stood. Not only are you outlasting every storm, you're flipping the ledger, rewriting the map, and charting a course for others to follow. All of this because you kept your eyes on the promise instead of the problem, and because your story is being told by the author of light himself.